We call the meeting to order. As this is the reorganizational meeting, I will be starting the meeting, and I would like to ask that we join together in a moment of silence. Thank you. If everyone would stand, I believe Mr. Harris is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All veterans may render a salute. Stand arms.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Seconded?
Second.
Any discussion? Motion carries. This time we'll have the election of the chairperson. Do we have a nomination for chairman of the school board?
Yes, I would like to place in nomination the name of Jenny Rife.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Nominations closed. Any discussion? We have a motion to approve the board chairman for the 2023-24 school year.
I make that motion.
And seconded.
Second.
We have a vote.
You want to do a roll call?
Yes, please, on this.
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Palfy?
Yes.
Ms. Swing? Yes. Dr. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much. That's mine. And we'd like to move next to the election of a vice chairperson. Do I have a nomination for a vice chair?
I nominate Jody Gray for the position of RCPS Board Vice Chair for 2023-2024.
Thank you. I have a nomination. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Palfy?
Yes.
Dr. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Swing? Yes. Ms. White?
Yes. All right, thank you. Motion passes. We need the appointment of our clerk, deputy clerk, agent, and deputy agent. And so that has been, our clerk has been Ms. Long, and as long as she's willing to do this again, fingers crossed. So do we need to do this as a group, or do we do them, because they're different people, right?
Yes, but I think you could do it as a
List, yeah.
Okay, so we have Ms. Long as clerk, deputy clerk is it Cindy Blankenship? Agent
Tracy Christian.
Tracy,
is
right?
Tracy Christian, and deputy agent
Right.
is Dr. Roger Collins. So
Continuing what's happened in the past.
yes, to continue as has been done in the past. Do I have a motion to approve Ms. Long, Ms. Blankenship, Ms. Christians, is it Christensen? Christian, sorry, and Dr. Collins in these appointments?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Do we need a roll call or all in favor?
You could do it on a roll call if you like.
Sure.
Okay. Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Palfy?
Yes.
Dr. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Swing? Yes. And Ms. White?
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. And now we have our recognitions. Let's see, should we do our retirees first? Yeah. Can I have Miss Carolyn Woolwine to the front, please?
Pictures. We take some pictures of each. I mean, something.
Come on up. So normally, our superintendent does our recognitions for our retirees, but since Dr. Collins didn't get the chance to know you yet, I get the privilege of being able to do that. And I will hand you this clock. And just wanted to share a little bit about Miss Woolwine. She began working for RCPS in 1998 as a student supervisor, a paraprofessional, and a census enumerator. I don't know that I even know what that is.
It's a census.
Just working for the census through
Going
RC.
around.
Cool.
I remember when she used to come out here to school board office and she looked through you had folders of information I know you were looking through to keep up with. I do remember that.
Keeping everybody straight. Trying. Ms. Woolwine coached varsity basketball and cheerleading. She also served as the crossing guard for many years at McCarg, 37 years at McCarg Elementary. And I know everyone here who has had children who went through McCarg remembers Ms. Woolwine and her just happy, joyous face every time seeing those children in the morning, walking little ones who were crying hand in hand into the front door, and how much parents and I as a parent appreciated you being there to know our little ones were taken care of from our car to McCarg's door. She remained a paraprofessional until this year, when in June she resigned after 35 years of service to Radford City Schools. Maybe a little longer, give or take a few.
Yeah.
We really appreciate everything you've done for Radford City Schools. You've been a fixture for a long time. And so there are children today who may even have children of their own who have known you. And that's a wonderful legacy.
I've been so proud to be a part of Radford High School and the elementary schools, and I've made so many friends. Some I know by name, some I know by faces, some I know by cars that came and brought them in. But yet they were all my friends, and I know they're a big part of my family. I've cried so much knowing that I'm not going to be here every day, but my husband and I promised each other we're going to make trips back because we've got kids in school, grandkids here in the high school, and we've got 4 in Northern Virginia. So
Oh my gosh.
we're going to be back and forth, and I can't thank everybody enough for making me feel so much at home here. And my husband and I and our boys went to school here in the city of Radford. We've never lived anywhere else, so it's our home, and it'll always be our home. And I appreciate my friends so much. I made not my work, it wasn't work, it was a part of my life, and I'll never forget this. And I appreciate everything.
Well, we appreciate you.
And I made it through without crying. So.
You did a good job. Good job. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. And next we have Sandy Finley. Would you like to come up, Miss Boyd? I should have gone. You're good. Sorry.
I have the honor and the privilege of honoring Sandy Finley for her years of service to RCPS, serving both McCarg and Belheath. We go back farther than that, though, don't we? Because I was Emily's first grade teacher at Kreiser. Mrs. Finley started her teaching career in Kingsport, Tennessee, followed by 2 years in Fairfax County. And while she was there, she completed an ORF Schulwerk certification at George Mason University. Now, I had to look up what that is. The core beliefs of ORF Schulwerk is that every learner deserves the opportunity to actively create, improvise, sing, play, move, speak, and listen. And I know personally that those core beliefs helped make her the amazing teacher that she was for the children in McCarg and Belheath. Sandy also taught music at Central Methodist, went on to Montgomery County to teach for 7 more years before she finally came to Radford. But when she got to Radford, she really left her mark. Mrs. Finley began the Belheath Harmonies Choir, as well as the Belheath Orff Ensemble performing groups. Get this, she taught an average of 43 classes a week in K through 6. During her time, she increased our Orff instrumentation, adding recorders to the curriculum to help students learn to read music. She added various drums, dulcimers, ukuleles, guitars, through the generosity of the RCPS School Board and the Radford High School Foundation grants. And by the end of her time with us, we had all ORF instruments for each school: ukuleles, African drumming, and 6th grade guitar lessons also. She had 2 after-school groups for years before COVID kind of put a stop to that. But Sandy worked and achieved national board certification, being one of the few RCPS teachers to obtain that level of performance. Mrs. Finley is the mother of 3 RHS graduates, and now she is Grandy. Is that what you are? Grandy to 4 beautiful grandchildren, so I'm sure they're going to receive lots of your time and attention now.
Absolutely.
So, Mrs. Finley, we thank you for your service and all the wonderful contributions to the lives of our children through your sharing of music over the past 20 years. We wish for you a joy-filled, healthy, and well-deserved retirement. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
We'd also like to recognize that Matt Sutphin, one of our custodians here at RCPS, is also retiring. He was not able to be with us tonight. We'll make sure he gets one of these beautiful clocks, and we want to let him know we appreciate his service to Radford City Schools. We also have tonight our soccer players. If we can have Clark Ramsey come on up with his boys. Come on up. You can face them. Oh, okay. You got a virtual one too. That's great.
Mr. Wade. There's Mr. Wade, too.
Oh yes.
There he
And if
is.
Mr. Wade would like to come up too, you're welcome to.
Mr. Wade, come on up, too.
So if y'all would like to lead our recognition of this wonderful soccer playing guys.
It was an honor and privilege to be the coach of these guys and all that they accomplished. They all were awarded All-State recognition. Evan was first team All-State, Eli was second team, and Enzo on our screen was first team All-State. Evan and Enzo have a unique asterisk to that, is that they are back-to-back All-State.
Nice.
And Brody Scholl, with kind of a breakout junior season, was awarded second team in a very competitive field for All-State. Yeah, I could not be more proud of them. We do feel like these are team awards. It's just we do we actually do something special too. These guys are all wearing a man of the match shirt, so at some point in the season they were awarded a man of the match for an exemplar performance, and we do that to hold the performance of what we strive for and hold in high esteem for how we shape and guide our practices and just what we do through the season. So it's just kind of cool that each of these guys, and Enzo's got like, he's an editor, he might not have made his travel bag. That these guys had success throughout the season, and it's just cool to see it recognized at the end of the year. So, yeah, couldn't be more proud.
And I'd like to recognize our head coach, who has made great strides in moving us back towards state championship. I'm very proud that he is our head coach, and hopefully we keep him quite some time. He excellent young man. I was able to watch them a lot this year, more than I had in years past, and I was very proud of how they handled themselves, not only in victory but also in defeat. They played extremely hard against Clark County, and I think the temperatures and just a little bit of running out of gas during a time period, and that's tough to do, but they were right there, and Winter did not want to see them one more time. Very proud of everyone.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well done. We'll take pictures. Oh, okay. Thank you. Perfect.
I'm going to use Stephanie's picture.
Great, thank you.
Gotta-
Can we do one around Enzo?
Oh yeah, we got to get Enzo in the picture too.
Yeah, she showed me a picture today of him on the golf course. So.
Let's see how we can get you in there.
Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's so cool.
I want to be.
You want to be
Now that's
cropped?
technology.
There we
working
go.
For you.
Smile, Enzo. He can't hear us. All right, thank you guys very much. Congratulations.
Well
on
done. Well done.
All right. And moving on to minutes, we have minutes to approve from a number of meetings. Can you give me the dates on those meetings? May the 10th, June the 15th, and June 20th. Has everyone gotten a chance to take a look at the minutes? Do we need to do them separately?
No, I would do all the consent items.
All consent, okay. And superintendent's authority to appoint personnel between meetings. I don't think there was any of that. And everybody get a chance to look at the bills and petty cash reports for June? I don't think there were any student activities or school facilities or anything else. All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, thank you all. Moving on to our public comment section. This part of the meeting is reserved for public comments regarding items on our agenda or in regards to Radford City Schools. It is your opportunity to address the board. You're requested to keep your comments polite and courteous. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect of the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by our comments. Speakers should be aware that they may be held legally responsible if they make statements that violate the legal rights of others. For example, if statements are made that are defamatory or threatening. Complaints about specific school personnel are best addressed by school administration, who will address those concerns as appropriated through existing board complaint procedures. Please remember that you cannot mention specific student names during public comments. Comments likely to disrupt the board's work or prompt a breach of the peace are prohibited, and the speaker will be called out of order by the board chair. Please remember that debate during public comments is prohibited. For the record, please state your name and address. And lately I have not been as good as reminding folks that they need to state their address as well, so if you can please state your full name and your address, that would be wonderful for our record. Public comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker at board meetings. And if anyone wishes to make comments, please come to the podium at this time. Let's see, we've got a few. We've got Lucinda Pirot.
I signed up in the second slot hoping someone else would go.
Oh,
But that's okay.
okay. Do we want to move the microphone closer to your, I think it's pointed up into the stars. Thank you.
Cough, I can't get my timer to work. Hi, I'm Lucinda McDermott Pirot. I live at 1815 Grove Avenue, Radford, Virginia. I'm speaking tonight to you as a parent of 2 RCPS graduates, my daughter Willa in 2012, son Dante in 2014. Other than a parent, my credentials are that I'm a teaching artist with the Virginia Commission for the Arts with over 20 years as a teacher in K through 12 public schools, including Radford High School, at universities, the Virginia Governor's School at Hampton Roads Division, and as a former director of fine arts for the Residential Summer Governor's School at RU. My MFA from UVA is in theater. I, like many who have expressed their views, are concerned with the conduct of several members of this body, for the disregard for procedure, precedents, legalities, decency. I've been astounded at the overall blatant unprofessionalism enacted and put on display. I am, however, here to offer hope. Yes, hope. I am guessing you, like many here, are parents. Some of you have taught, but certainly you've had interactions with school-age children if you aren't parents or teachers. And if you're like me, you've learned through experience that the more you tell a young person, especially a middle schooler or a teenager, that they can't do something, the more they want to, right? A couple of stories. When my son Dante was at Dalton, and I'm guessing it was the 6th grade, His English teacher called us in because she was concerned with him reading a Stephen King novel. She thought it was inappropriate. She had tried unsuccessfully to steer him away from this book. My son taught himself to read at the age of 4. I asked him about it. He talked about the style of King's writing, the dialogue, and character development. His parents, us, allowed him to read. And after he had ultimately read the whole King canon, he let his teacher know how much he'd enjoyed it and what he'd gotten out of it. There are many stories of Dante being told not to do something that became his golden ring. Daughter Willow was in the 10th grade, I think, history or government, and they were discussing a woman's right to choose what happens with her body. Willow was advocating for choice. A boy in her class out loud called her a baby killer. This, as you can guess, was very upsetting to Willow. That night, I called the boy's parents and spoke to his mother, and we had a really good, respectful conversation. Within minutes of my hanging up, the boy called Willa and apologized. They became very good friends. I want to point out the obvious here. The parents handled this, and the students worked it out. The parents allowed the students to work it out, and in doing so, they were able to learn to respectfully communicate and navigate through their feelings and differences. We do this so that students, our children, are empowered to fight their own fights. My children matriculated through a school system that supported critical thinking here at RCPS, respect for others. They were allowed to explore, ask the big questions, and they were taught the truth. What are they doing now? Willa, about to turn 29, is a costume designer in film, TV, and theater. Her last 2 jobs were on an independent film where she was the designer of note, and then she was also the assistant costume designer for the Tony Award-winning Broadway revival of Sweeney Todd with Josh Groban. Dante's a playwright, producer in New York. His solo actor play, The Verge, premiered off-Broadway last spring. He's heavily involved in nurturing other new playwrights as a founding artist with Uncle Mike Productions. My hope is with our students, with our young people who so see what is going on and what you are trying to deny them. And they don't like it. I've talked to young students. I've talked to them and they've told me. But go ahead and tell them they can't do something. Go ahead and deny them their ability to exercise their curiosity, their inquiry, their truth, and the development of their critical thinking ability. Go ahead. I believe it will not work out so well for you. Indeed, it already.
As a division, very, very hard to put in place initiatives that support all the children in our schools. We have a number of children and families who experience poverty. We need a superintendent who can continue with these kind of initiatives. We value communication and collaboration. We value compassion and tenderness even towards our students and families. We don't fear diversity, and we are becoming a very diverse school division. Last, I ask this as a person who has a hearing impairment. I would ask that you consider the fact that the community does want to be involved in school board meetings, and that you consider moving this board meeting to an ADA accessible space and a welcoming space, such as the new McCarg Auditorium. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Jen Bondurant.
My name is Jennifer Bondurant. I live at 411 6th Street in Radford, and I do not have nearly the resume as the 2 that preceded me, but I am a parent, and I have 2 kids at McCarg, and my mama was a teacher, and my granny was a teacher, so here I am. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Dr. Collins, welcome to Radford. It's possible you've noticed you've arrived in the middle of some tension, and I would urge you to watch several of the board meetings that have led us to this one, specifically those over the last 6 months. As you watch, you will notice several things. First, you will notice teachers showing incredible vulnerability and courage in addressing this board. Teachers have regularly attended meetings over the last several months, advocating for themselves and their colleagues. You will hear a well-informed, unified, formidable group of professionals who, by the way, is teachers like you all that have inspired parents like me to come speak. You will also see an incredibly knowledgeable group of administrators and central office staff. This staff is forward-thinking, the depth of their knowledge and context-specific information is clear. By example, I'm sure you've noticed Miss Denny may as well be a walking encyclopedia. You will notice an impassioned community. You will find that we are engaged and committed to the success of our school system. We are moved to speak on issues about which we do not always agree, but with the common goal of making RCPS the best that it can be. You will hear discussion on stadiums and schedules, and you will also find overwhelming concern for the health of this school system under the direction of this board. Last but not least, amidst all this engagement and concern, you will find a largely silent board, sometimes even physically absent. Aside from some guarded remarks, this board has not addressed the community about the present state of the school system. Maybe that changes tonight. Regardless of how we got here, the fact is we were not able to retain the Regional Superintendent of the Year, 2 highly qualified administrators, and numerous teachers and staff. Perhaps even more announcements are forthcoming. All this to say, you have found yourself in a community that's wondering, what just happened and what's next? What will the board do to foster trust in the community? What will this board do to restore confidence within the system, to recruit highly qualified individuals to replace those we've lost? And what will this board do to secure a qualified permanent superintendent? What SVBA resources are you taking advantage of? And if you're not utilizing these resources, why? Our community deserves to hear a plan, and for that plan to be transparent. Dr. Collins, I understand you have years of experience working with superintendents and boards, and for that I am thankful. I hope that your experience can serve as a guidepost for this board, our schools, and this community as this discussion progresses. I look forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Thank you. And last we have Mr. Gary Harris.
Well, I don't have much of a resume. I'm a Radford redneck. Graduated from high school in '62, barely. My brother was a Korean veteran and the Vietnam War was going on, so I volunteered and did what I was told to do. I've been all around the world, and Radford would be the only place that I would want to live. But I have become embarrassed. Some of the things that I have heard about some members of this board. They have been called those people, that bunch, that type. Our school board doesn't need to be mentioned in that kind of voice. And to me, it is really heartbreaking that we would have people trying to do what they want to do. For what reason? I have not heard a reason. If y'all know the reason why they want to remove some members, I would like to know before I leave. I've got my own opinion of why they want to do it. Ego, power, and what they want to do to our kids. I was a single dad and raised 2 kids, 2 girls through this school system. One of them's a teacher now. And I love Radford Bobcats. I donate a lot of money to them. And I think this board here will be as good or better than any that we've had before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that's 4 that we had. And before I hand it over, thank you very much for your comments, everyone. Before I pass it over to our new interim superintendent, I thought I'd give a little introduction.
Goodness.
You've heard this a time or two before.
Short.
And you're going to hear it again.
Keep it short.
I will try to keep it short. I wanted to introduce to you all officially Dr. Roger Collins. He has a long and distinguished career as a public educator beginning in 1983, and he has served as a teacher, assistant principal, assistant superintendent, and division superintendent in Virginia school systems. He has been the superintendent in Nelson County from 2003 to 2014, and he has served as an adjunct professor at both University of Virginia and Shenandoah University. For the last several years, he's been an associate clinical professor in the Graduate Educational Leadership Program at James Madison University. In that program, he has taught and mentored many public school professionals seeking to attain the skills and credentials to qualify for superintendent licensure. Dr. Collins has served as an executive coach and mentor for numerous newly appointed superintendents throughout Virginia. He is an experienced, collaborative, and relationship-driven educational leader who we believe will provide Bradford City Schools with outstanding leadership as we go through this period of transition. And with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Collins to give the report of the superintendent.
Well, thank you very much for those comments, and I'd like to say to the Radford community, I look forward to working with you. It's been a pleasure to get to know many of you, beginning with my new landlord, all the way to people at Sal's Restaurant and at the Farmers Market and City Council last night. And Mr. Harris, thank you for your gift. I have that with me now, so I appreciate that. So it's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to working with you in a collaborative manner. So before you, you have the tentative school board meeting calendar. If folks can look at that, I think we're continuing to meet on the second Tuesday of each month, with one exception. I believe that's the month of November.
Yes.
Okay.
We had it on our...
Okay, and that's
sent to
been
us.
At least looked at. Moving forward, you tentatively had a board retreat scheduled, and my recommendation was to not have an August retreat because you will be looking at a superintendent search schedule that will be time intensive, and so I suspect that a retreat perhaps would be more in order later. That would be my suggestion for your consideration.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. And I want to turn the superintendent search over to Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much. So, as we know, we need a new superintendent. We have Dr. Collins available to us during this time of transition, and we need to start our process of how we find a new superintendent for the long term. So, by law, we have to have 3 bids from 3 different companies or organizations to do the superintendent search process for us. And so we have in front of us, and I'm sure we can share it, we've got some different suggestions. Of course, the VSBA. I spoke with them on the phone on Monday morning to sort of get that process going. And we have 3 other highly recommended suggestions of BWP and Associates Limited, who have done completed multiple searches in Virginia over the years. We have some contact information for them. We have Real Synergy, LLC. The owner is a former superintendent both in Virginia and North Carolina. They've completed multiple searches in Virginia as well. And we have McPherson and Jacobson, LLC. And they have also worked with several Virginia school systems with staffing to fill some vacancies. So if the board is comfortable with moving forward with contacting these other 3 businesses to get some bids to make sure we've got a great company to do our search with us. Is that comfortable for everybody? Are there any questions about that?
So it would be a proposal. We would be asking them for a proposal.
Yes.
Will they physically come, or is it we invite whomever we want to hear from?
It's whatever you ask them to do.
Okay. So I will reach out on our behalf to get that ball rolling. And VSBA has already said that they're more than happy to help us in that search process as well.
Okay, thank you. We have tonight Mr. Wirt, who's going to give us an update on our construction projects. And I say that in a plural fashion because we have multiple things moving around. So we had a construction meeting this morning from 10 till approximately 12, and I appreciated that update as well because it was really my first update.
Yes,
So
indeed.
thank you for being here.
Thank you, thank you. Jack was traveling tonight, so asked me to step in. I'm project manager for these projects, and so can you pull up the PowerPoint? Okay. Things are busy right now. If you haven't been around, it's going well. I will say it's going well. That's the bottom line. This was
Speak up. Speak up.
Sorry. Things are going well. Next slide. Just to give you the update on the stadium, science rooms, and the gym and locker rooms. Okay. This is the same schedule Jack had, I think, the last time. Nothing has changed on this. It's moving along. The supplier is in the design and fabricating phase. Biggest thing we have is the temporary bleacher repair, and we just need to move on that pretty soon to get a decision to give the okay to Extreme Concrete to get that done by season. Otherwise, it's moving along. Science rooms are the biggest push right now. Work began June 5th. The asbestos everything was complete until they pulled the chalkboards down, found they had to do some work, so made Extreme do a little working around, but they are still proceeding with their demolition is pretty much complete. Renovation, plumbing, electrical is going. The cabinet work is coming. That was our big topic today. It's tight, but it is proceeding as planned. And then the HVAC units that the school purchased, they have arrived. They came early, and installation is starting today, really. Okay. Locker rooms. If you've seen, there's a big ditch out to the cafeteria. That is the electrical conduit going in. Demolition is pretty much there, and they'll be jumping on that starting next week, pretty much, as they're transitioning their renovation from the science rooms. HVAC is the delivery is good. The electrical panels in the gym, they've been delayed. Same as the some of the HVAC that we purchased here through the school. Otherwise, it's still moving along good. Lockers should be coming in July 27 and installed right after that. Okay. And then the gym, electrical work is beginning this week. Again, same pretty much. The HVAC units are going to be October coming, but Travis at Extreme will have everything ready as soon as they get here, and he'll just be planning to be waiting until then. And that's where we are. Any questions?
I know there's always going to be questions about the football schedule and what
Yeah.
that's going to look like and how
Yes.
we're working the plan. Is everything still?
I don't know of any changes to the football schedule, at least for the stadium you're saying, and like I say, really just the concrete repairs. I'm not sure if I talked with Dr. Collins today, if we need to just get an approval on that. I'm not sure if that's here or
Yeah, we held one of our meetings in the science room that was least, had made the least progress, and so the idea was we were going to make sure that the most amount of rooms, science rooms, are available for
That's right.
the arrival of students and so forth. Moving on to the stadium, we had discussed the concrete company being able to do what we needed them to do, and that should be updated within the next week or two because we need to order materials for that according to
Yes.
yeah,
He-
Extreme
he-
Concrete.
He is really needing pretty much to start this week if he can get approval to do that. So, but
So everything's on schedule, is basically.
it is on schedule. It is. It's kind of tense right now for me. So, but I'm feeling good with that right now. So.
The cabinetry, we were told today, is taking a little longer than planned, correct?
That's right.
And so we were looking at juggling the differing amount of work that needs to be completed, and so the subcontractors are working together to make sure that there's no overall significant delay. But the cabinetry we are waiting on, and
Yes.
and that we were told today that's taking a little longer than originally planned. So I bet
Yes.
that's about the best guesstimate we can give based on what we heard today. Correct?
That's right. That's right. They, this company, they work hard to work with everyone, so it's everybody's so busy in the summer, so we just have to keep pushing
Yeah.
and pushing.
Heard the cabinetry company's been in business 150 years. and
130?
They
Yes.
can be, 100 and some years. They can be depended upon, and I thought that was a good sign.
Yes.
But the goal is to get this completed as expeditiously as possible, correct?
That's
Yes,
right.
sir. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming the rooms would, if the cabinets aren't complete, I'm assuming school starts, the rooms can be used. That's maybe not a question to ask now.
Our
That-
goal,
Let's hope
right-
for the best. I
yes,
guess.
our goal right now is that rooms will be ready. The biggest thing is once the cabinets go in, Extreme Construction has to come in and do their final finish work. So but Travis is really good to work with on that. We feel okay right now. It's just we can't afford another week to lose. So it's
It is a tight schedule, and we
Yes.
really appreciate your efforts, and
Right.
and
Thank
we'll be
you.
visiting often.
thank you. Please do. Please do. So.
Great. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else under our report of
That's it.
superintendent? Okay. Do we have any new business from our board members?
Madam Chair, I'll be leaving tomorrow for Richmond to attend the VSBA Conference on Education that will be held on Thursday. I forwarded the agenda of all the workshops to all the board members and administrative staff to ask if they saw workshops that they felt were particularly pertinent to us and our future needs. And I did hear from one person so far, so, depending on how those workshops are scheduled, somebody might recommend something and there's two at the same time, but I'll do my best.
Thank you. All right, any other new business?
Madam Chair, just a bit of information. You and I had the opportunity to join Dr. Collins last night at the council meeting. Dr. Collins, once again, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Very confident after hearing your introductions and your communications with all of us in the community that indeed we're very fortunate to have you here and to help us keep the main thing, as you've said, and I appreciate that. Notes I had from last night at the council meeting, I am sad, of course, that Chief Dodson is leaving our community. Happy for him and his family that he has an opportunity to better himself and their opportunities. And I want to enthusiastically congratulate Chief Holdaway on his promotion. I'm very excited about that. I know he's been a staple in our community for a very long time. Looking forward to working with him here in the school systems. So I know he has a passion not only for our community and for our children. And I'm really looking forward to that. And on that note, I want to additionally thank the council from me personally last night for providing the additional funding that they added to the SRO program grants from DCGS to allow our schools to have SROs in place at each school. Not every community is that fortunate to have it covered under grants and the additional shortfall covered by the council. So I'm very appreciative of that and wanted to make sure they're thankful for that. Safety in our schools should never be compromised. I'm extremely grateful that we live in a community that feels the same way.
All right, thank you so much. Any other new business? All right, moving on to other. We wanted to have a conversation about our public comment structures. We have, in the past, it's been shared that we have a 5-minute public comment time, but when we checked our was it our regulation? It's actually 3 minutes. And so we wanted to discuss moving back to a 3-minute time limit that would give more people the opportunity to come and speak while still having our meeting move along. And some other things as well. I guess I can go ahead and bring them all up and we can discuss. We have used an online form that started during COVID times because so many folks wanted to come to the meeting. We couldn't have anybody in the room in the beginning. And then it became apparent that lots of folks like to be able to watch online because they're busy with schedules and families and other reasons they can't be here in person. So we gave an opportunity to send in a public comment using a Google form. However, a lot of times we end up getting public comment emails that are either sent to Ms. Long or our superintendent or Ms. Blankenship or me or one of our board members, and we don't want to miss anybody. We also don't want to misunderstand the intention behind people's emails because sometimes it's just an email that they just want to communicate to a board member, and sometimes it's something they want read. And so we are thinking that we would use only that form to be able to receive public comment, to keep it streamlined, make sure that nobody gets missed, and to also limit the characters in there so that somebody who emails something, it would be reflective of the same amount of time that they would have if they were here speaking publicly. We also wanted to discuss a time limit or a time cutoff, because our staff has to be able to look through all of the public comments submitted and make sure that they're appropriate to share. And so we were sort of taking them up until the very moment before the meeting, and that wasn't right for our staff to feel like they had to rush to look through something to make sure it was appropriate. So we were discussing maybe 4 p.m. or whatever makes sense for our staff. And we had also had videos submitted last time by some wonderful students who were unable to come. And as much as we love seeing their faces reading their letters, I had to transcribe them so that we could have, an actual physical copy. And that took a lot, even with my phone and the, voice recognition and having it type it for me, I still had to go back and check. And that took quite some time, and I would not want to ask our staff to take time away from the rest of their jobs that they're doing to do that. So we're going to ask for not to have videos. So that is what I am bringing when it comes to public comment. Are there other thoughts that you all have or clarifications that you'd like to make or additions?
I think it is good for us to review how we are doing that, in council comment time, 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we would be more consistent with our fellow governing body. And I like the idea of emails time-wise matching what people come to say here publicly, in fairness to everyone who wants to speak. Mm-hmm. So I think reviewing these policies or regulations or whatever they're called, now is a good time to do that.
Okay. Any other comments?
You're saying online form instead of email, though, right?
Yes. So if folks wanted to just contact us because they want to contact us, they're always welcome to send us emails or phone calls at any time, just for interaction between a board member and our constituents. But when it comes to having a public comment, having it feed through one filter makes it a lot easier for our staff to manage.
To make sure we have heard all voices.
Right. So is that something we want to?
Would you like Dr. Collins and I to look at the current regulation and take some of the suggestions you have made and add them to the regulation? Is that what you all would like to see?
Yes. That makes sense? Okay. Yes, could you do that for us, please?
Okay.
Thank you. All right, moving on to is there anything else under other? Moving on to our action items, we have the 2023 VSBA Media Honor Roll. that list.
I think we have it right here.
Yes, you need the actual,
Do I need to read them out? Or do we need to?
I think we could say you just
Yeah.
approve the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
So I don't need to read the entire resolution, or should I read the entire resolution?
Probably should, since I.
Okay. The 2023 Virginia School Boards Association Media Honor Roll. Whereas in each community, the public schools are shaped by the community to provide the most appropriate and effective education for the school children who attend those schools, and whereas public schools are dependent on the community's support in countless ways, including support in setting goals for the education of our children, in establishing successful volunteer and booster programs at the schools, for annual funding of operations, in periodic bond elections, in the election of qualified school board members, and whereas much of the community's knowledge and opinions about the public schools rely on responsible reporting by local media representatives who decide which news to share with the community, how much attention will be focused on various issues, and what the tone of the reporting will be. Now, therefore, it will be resolved that the Radford City School Board place the names of Duke Carter from WSLS, Janae Reese from WDBJ7, and Heather Bell from the News Journal on the statewide VSBA Media Honor Roll, calling attention to the ongoing responsible and exemplary nature of reporting on this community's public schools. We express our appreciation for your balanced and accurate approach to sharing with this community both the challenges facing our schools and the successes achieved by the teachers and students. Your work has aided this community in focusing on the goal of providing the best public schools we can for the children who attend them. Do I have a motion to approve the 2023 Virginia School Boards Association Media Honor Roll?
I make the motion that we approve the 23 VSBA Media Honor Roll.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll make sure we sign this before we leave. Thank you. We have our school board meeting calendar for 23 and 24 that we had the opportunity to see.
As
online.
discussed.
As discussed. Do I have a motion to approve the school board meeting calendar as discussed for 23-24?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the school board calendar as discussed earlier.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have our safety and crisis management guide
And we have our expert right here.
and our expert.
So every year, we usually, my mic is dead. So we usually update our crisis handbook. And this year, this spring, the admin team went to a training with the Radford City Police Department for day-long training under the foundation I Love You Guys. It's a foundation that provides pro bono training and rights to all their materials, and it provides a more consistent language and better description of the process of basically locking down or sheltering in place due to an emergency. This is not completely updated because we need new names. So until I know those names, we can't fully update it. There are some things that need to be edited within the book. We met with Eric Martin today and Donnie Goodman, and Dr. Collins was with me to go over some of the changes that have to take place in the book, and then we're going to create a flip book that will basically be for teachers to keep very close at the door so that they can refer to it in the event of an emergency. We're also going to copy signage that goes all over the school. There is a parent letter that will go home. Our police department will be there at open house to answer any questions about the program. And our teachers will all be trained in the first week, which is our first work week. And then paras and New River Community Service counselors and other folks that are in our building on a regular basis will be trained on August 17th. So this is basically just a rundown of the book and our trainings as they're going to be rolled out.
Thank you.
Pass it around. So when we're finished with it, I can bring it back and
August.
and we can approve it.
I really appreciated being invited to the meeting. It was an opportunity to meet some experts in the field and get updated myself. So as you know, each division uses a variety of language and so forth. But what was so important about this is having common language and having folks be trained as recently as this fall for any unexpected event.
So we need to move this to our action item next meeting.
Probably move it to August. Yeah. This should be informational. We didn't know today the result of our meeting, but it would be informational at this point.
Okay. So do I need to have a motion to move it to August?
I don't think you need to make a motion to do that.
We'll just put it on the agenda for them. Okay, great. Thank you so much for all of this. Policy revisions for May 2023, the final reading. Everybody has a chance to take a look at that. Do I have a motion to approve the policy revisions for May of 2023?
I move to adopt the policy revisions for May 2023.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. I don't think we had anything else. And then we have a closed meeting, please, Dr. Ray.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session for the following reasons. Reason number 1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, and evaluation of performance of departments or schools of public institutions of higher education, where such evaluation will necessarily involve discussion of the performance of specific individuals. Any teacher shall be permitted to present during a closed meeting in which there is a discussion or consideration of a disciplinary matter that involves the teacher and some student, and the student involved in the matter is present, provided, hold on, the teacher makes a written response to present to the presiding officer of the appropriate board.
I have a, do we do both of them at the same time? I'm having a, do we do both at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, and for reason two.
Reason number 2, discussion or consideration of admission of disciplinary matters or any other matters that would involve the disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record concerning any student of any Virginia public institution of higher education or any state school system. However, any such student, legal counsel, and if the student is a minor, the student's parents or legal guardian shall be permitted to present during the taking of testimony or presentation of evidence at a closed meeting if such student, parents, or guardian so request in writing, and such request is submitted to the presiding officer of the appropriate board.
All right, I have a motion to go into closed for reasons 1 and 2. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We're in closed.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to certify the closed meeting for the purpose of reason number 1.
And two.
And 2?
We usually do them in 2 separate. Do we want to do
Oh, sorry.
Do we do
one and 2? Whichever way is fine. Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion to certify the closed meeting for reasons 1 and 2. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, and personnel matters. I need a motion to approve personnel matters 1.0.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And I also need a motion to approve the tuition students 1.0.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I don't think we have anything other, and we don't have any student matters. Our date for our next regular school board meeting is August 8th, 2023 at 6 p.m. here at the School Administration Building. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much.